Yes, isn't it a pleasant surprise for you all? Second lecture of Nafisa Idinwala. For somebody, it may not be a pleasant surprise because what in a day, two lectures of Nafisa Idinwala, and some must be liking it. It is a personal opinion, right? Your own opinion, personal response. But, children, as we are very much close to our exams, we need to revise. So, it's a revision time. Yes? So, let's revise. Yes? The story 1.2 Dick Whittington. And I know that you all enjoyed this story session. Right? It was about a small boy. Do you remember? If you have forgot, I don't think so. Any must have forgotten this. This is very very nice story, and we have done it so well. So we will do just in brief brush up to freshen up your memory, to brush your memory, to clean your memory. Early morning when you get up, you brush your teeth, right? To remove the food particles from your teeth. So here we are going to brush up our memory to remove and to recall Dick Whittington and his cat. So let's get started. Now this is a story about a Dick Whittington. There is a main character. It describes how Dick, who was very poor, an orphan boy, became rich person and mayor of London. Children, I want you to listen to this beautiful explanation, and in short, we will be covering everything. Dick Whittington and his cat. Let's get started. Dick Whittington was a poor orphan boy. He lived in a small village in the south of England. He was treated unkindly by many of the villagers. So, he one day decides to go to London. Why? Because he had heard that the streets of London were paved with gold. So he decides to go to London to find his fortune. He reached London with the help of a man in his cart. Somebody offered him a lift. But as he reached, he was disappointed. Yes, he was disappointed with two things. Here only one thing is given. He was disappointed to see that the streets were not paved with gold. And another thing, the people in London were same as the people in his village. They were unfriendly, not kind. Dick spent that night in a corner of an alley. Alley is a dirty street, narrow street. The next day he wandered on the street because he was very hungry. He went begging for the food, but nobody helped him. Nobody gave him food. And it so happened, because he was hungry and tired, it was cold in London, he fainted, he collapsed in front of Mr. Fitzwarren's house. Now let's see who was Mr. Fitzwarren. Mr. Fitzwarren was a rich merchant. Yes, he had just returned after examining his ship. And when he saw Dick and the cook arguing and shouting, Mr. Fitzwarren offered Dick food and told the cook to give him some job. Dick lived in an attic. He started working with Mr. Fitzwarren. He lived in the attic where rats and mice were there. It was all spread over with rat and mice. Dick got a solution. He was a very intelligent boy. As he was paid, Mr. Fitzwarren would pay him for working in his house. He bought a cat to prevent him from rats and mice. So one problem got solved, because when the cat was brought, it chased away all rats and mice. But the second problem was there, that is a bad temper of a cook. She was always shouting, scolding, and hitting for unnecessary reason, without any rhyme or reason, with a wooden spoon, even though he was working. He was a small boy, he was working slowly, but still he was doing his best. So being fed up, he was a small boy. He could not take up the beating. So he was tired and fed up. He left Mr. Fitzwarren's house, and with his cat he went out of the house to seek the fortune, because he thought that if I leave this house, if I really want to work, I can work somewhere, find my bread and butter. On their way out of London, when he was just leaving, LEAVING, जब छोड़ रहा था, LIVEING is what? जीना. और LEAVING is छोड़ना. He was out of London. He sat down on a stone to rest. It was the 1st of November, All Saints' Day. Like we have Independence Day, we have Teachers' Day, Children's Day. So it was All Saints' Day, a religious day. We have Eid, we have Ganesh, right? He heard the church bell ringing a message. When he set to rest, he heard the church bell giving a message that go back, turn again, addressing him as a mayor of, and said that you will become a mayor of London. So Dick returned back to Mr. Fitzwarren's house very quietly. He entered the house when everybody was still sleeping. Then, as he started living there, then gradually, days by days passed, years, months, everything passed, and there was a great change in Dick's life. Many good and bad, he had faced many good and bad events, right? Difficulties. But cat proved to be very useful and blessings. So one day when Mr. Fitzwarren was told everyone that I'm sending my ship to African coast where barbarians rule, if anybody have anything to sell, they can give to the captain and they can get good money. So Dick gave away his cat with very sad heart, with a grief in his heart. And when the cat was taken, captain was overjoyed. Captain was happy. Why? Because on the ship also there were rats and mice. And captain thought this cat is an excellent mouser, so he could sail very easily. There will be no trouble in his voyage. And when they arrived African coast after many, many months, barbarian king and queen invited captain. And when the food was served, there also there was this problem, rats and mice. They all came and ate away all the food when the food was laid on the table. So the queen and king was very, very disappointed. So what did captain do? He used this quick wittiness and he bought, what did he do? He brought a cat, sold a cat to king. And the king and queen saw how the cat attacked rats and mice, and they got the problem solved. Now, in return, this cat, what did Captain bargained very nicely? He sold the entire Fitzwarren's cargo, but alone for the cat, the king paid him 10 times the cost of cargo. Suppose if the cargo means सामान जो ship में ले जाते हैं. अगर suppose I'm giving you an example, don't write these examples. अगर वो 1,000 रुपये का था तो किंग ने कितने दिए? Multiply with 10, that is सिर्फ कैट के लिए 10,000. So 10 times the cost of cargo. Understood? Dick became and when captain came back, he gave the money to Dick. He became very rich, and from this time, and then Dick had already grown, right? He became successful merchant. He started working with Mr. Fitzwarren, and then he married Mr. Fitzwarren's beautiful daughter Eliza. And he was chosen not once but thrice mayor of London. But Dick remained very kind and generous. See, children, I tell you one thing, a person who has seen a lot of difficulties in his life will always be generous and kind towards others because he knows the real difficulty he has faced and how he should be treat others. He learns his lesson. Now, children, let's do revision part. Now, this question paper is there in front of you with some fill in the blanks. Dick lived in a city of south of England. True or false? These are true or false. And I, children, one thing I want to tell you. Very honestly, please write down the answers without opening your books. Honesty is best policy. And one more thing, in the last lecture I told you, practice makes man perfect. So don't be disheartened if your answers are wrong. At least you will be satisfied that you wrote without copying your answers. And you will correct yourself, and this is the best way to learn and revise. So I am there to help you out. See, we are posting a video for that. The man in the cart thought Dick was running away from home. There is a cart. T is missing, children. Sorry. True or false? On reaching London, Dick found that the streets were paved with gold. True and false? People in London were kind to Dick. Were they? I don't think so. Right? Next. Name the following. Why did Dick want to be rich? The answer is to be written on the lines only. Right? When you get your exam papers, it should be on the papers that we give you, not on full-scape papers. It will be disqualified, children. Why? Because if you give me stapled up and if that paper get lost or it is removed from the pin, we will not know and you'll get 0. So try to write on the paper which we give, and write entire full name of yours and last year's division. Okay, children? What hardship did Dick faced in London? How did Mr. Fitzwarren favor Dick? What difficulties Dick had to face at Mr. Fitzwarren's house? See, in London, there were 2 different difficulties. In Mr. Fitzwarren's house, there were other 2 difficulties. What happened when the food was brought in the palace? Where? In African coast, barbarian kings, right? Now, next is complete the following. Dick was on his way to London. Why? You all know that. Always, I told you, write it out and very sincerely. Instead of finding gold, all Dick could find was dash. And fill in the blanks. Mr. Fitzwarren was dash by profession. Dick slept in a corner of a dash. Mr. Fitzwarren was sending his ship to dash coast to trade. And 1st November was dash. Now, children, I wish you all the best luck, all the best for your test. And once again, I repeat, honesty is the best policy. So if you want to succeed in life, be honest to yourself. You have to be honest to yourself. You can't cheat yourself, right? So if you be honest to yourself, you will succeed. So if you honestly write your question answers without seeing in your notebooks, don't worry if you face failure, because that is the time you will pick up pieces, right? And start afresh, and one learns from the mistake. Have a nice day, children. Love you all. And this is the entire worksheet which I have posted. Okay? Love you all, and we miss you all. Thank you, children.